How the heck are you guys? I'm Fastidious. Welcome to the channel. Let's get right into it. Should you summon this weekend? In this video, I'm going to cover the guaranteed exclusive limited banner featuring Sun Wukong that launched this morning, as well as the special invocation of spirits and the special divine summoning banners, which are kicking off tomorrow, featuring Yuri, the very strong Yuri, and then the brand spanking new, extremely exciting Ryzen. So in this video, I will try to be as succinct as possible. I do have a fair amount of thoughts, but I want to really hit them quickly, because the banners are half already live. Wukong launched this morning, and I think a lot of people have a pretty clear vision, but I just want to hit on every possible condition, variable, so on and so on. One thing I also want to make a point to do in this video is actually discuss the divine summoning banner. So using your gold legendary summoning crystals. I think the past several months I've neglected making this distinction, and I'm kind of always talking about the rare summoning crystals and the diamonds, so I'm going to make sure to touch on this as well. I do want to say, big picture, this video, and it probably will say something like this in the thumbnail, is going to be a little bit more of a where should you use your summons, where should you spend your summons, than it will be should you summon. Because I would say the vast majority of players should be summoning to some extent this weekend. Also, guys, if you're not yet subscribed, please do click that button. It is a great help to me in the channel. That'd be awesome. So let's cover all that now. Let's kick things off with Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong is still completely and utterly elite in this game. If you can get him to A3 or higher, certainly if you can get him to A5, he is completely and utterly overpowered. He's just fantastic. He is excellent against all bosses in this game. He is completely dominant against the hardest boss in this game, which is Abyss 1. I guess not counting the brand new, horrible Matrix one, but he's fantastic in that. He's tremendous in all the Codex bosses. He's totally functional in Guild Wars for defense, and he is excellent in the arena, right? You consistently will see him on the very top leaderboards in arena when it comes to single target arena. Even in comps like this, very cool comp here, where it's a chaos comp, they're running an off-faction Sun Wukong. He is that freaking strong. And the key thing with Sun Wukong is if you don't have him, you absolutely have to go get him. But even if you already have him, you're gonna need awakenings. Unless you already have him pure A5, meaning you've pulled 6 copies of the guy and you don't have any unpolished soulstones invested in him. If you're in that situation, then of course this is a very, very, very hard skip. But I think the vast majority of people, though many players nowadays do have him A5, they reach that awakening level, they've reached that max potential by investing unpolished soulstones. And as we're seeing more and more, unpolished soulstones are so important and they are so rare. We have not gotten a free one in like 6.5 months, but they're very rare. I think it's the kind of situation where a lot of people might want to pull for him just to get the guaranteed copy, even if they have unpolished soulstones invested. And that's because eventually you can reset him and get some of those unpolished soulstones back. You're essentially paying the equivalent rare summons plus diamonds, some mix or just one, just the other, to get that guarantee. Maybe you hit it early, and then you're unlocking at a future date, or maybe now, we'll discuss that in one moment, that unpolished soulstone or multiple unpolished soulstones. So when do I think it's safe to reset a unit? When if you're pulling beyond A5, because part of that A5 investment for your Sun Wukong or your Kagiri or whatever, part of that was unpolished soulstones. I would not use a reset book ever. This is a good rule of thumb if you want my advice. I think a good rule of thumb for when you should use a reset book is when it can net you 2 unpolished soulstones or more. If it's just for 1, like you're only gonna get 1 back, let's say you already had A5 Sun Wukong, but part of that A5 was putting 3 unpolished soulstones into him. Then during this event, you pull an extra copy and you reset him and then get to A5 again by saving one of those unpolished soulstones and putting in the new copy. You only netted 1 unpolished soulstone and you had to use a tremendously rare reset book. They've only given us a reset book as a reward twice in the history of this game. In total, they've given it to us 3 times. The first initial time that wasn't a reward was compensation after the pretty ridiculous Boreas nerf, or at least the ridiculous handling of it. But we're talking a game that's been out for like 2.25 years, and they've only had these reset books available to us 3 total times. So I think you can't justify using one of those reset books, which are rarer than unpolished soulstones, to net a singular unpolished soulstone. But if you can get 2 or more, then by all means. So to use the same example, let's say you got really lucky, you pulled 200 or 300 times and you got the guarantee and another copy of Sun Wukong, right? Like you hit early twice, or you hit the guarantee and then you hit, very soon thereafter. If you got those 2 copies, and remember, you had him A5 using his base copy, 2 copies, and then 3 unpolished soulstones, you could swap out, after resetting, 2 of those unpolished soulstones you used for those 2 new copies. Now he only has 1 unpolished soulstone invested, and you're good to go. If you want to be ultra conservative hoardy like I am, and if you want to know, the proof is in the pudding. I have never used any of those 3 reset books we've gotten. You can see all 3 are right here behind my head. The way I would probably approach it is I would only do it if I'm getting a complete and entire reset. So actually, I'm glad it's on Ingrid here. She would be a good example of how I would use this. I would never reset my Ingrid, even though I could get 3 polished, not even unpolished, but polished soulstones back. I shouldn't say never. If they introduce some insane legendary lord and I'm only 1 awakening away, maybe I would do it. But I would only ever reset her at this point if I pulled 3 more copies, or at the very least if I pulled 1 more copy to guarantee the A3. But if the A5 is what I wanted, I would want that singular click of the reset to fully refund me all my soulstones so I didn't have to do them again. Because if you did, like with the Sun Wukong situation, you had him A5, 3 soulstones were in him, you pulled 2 copies, you reset him, you're still going to want to get him A5, you'll still have to use 1 unpolished soulstone, and then again in the future, they're probably going to run a guaranteed Wukong, and you would want to pick it up, right? And then reset him, and now you've invested 2 reset books just to get 3 unpolished soulstones back. So until they make reset books a lot less rare, a lot more available, and I don't think that's going to happen probably ever, certainly not anytime soon, I just think you should try to think of the economy of the whole thing and how efficient you can really be. It's all up to you though, because if you can reset him and you can get just 1 unpolished soulstone back, but your Kagiri's been sitting at A2 or A4, and you think that's the most important thing for your account, then by all means, right? These are just my 2 cents. Now, this is the big thing in the video, and then we're going to transition into Ryzen and Yuri. The big thing I want to talk about with Sun Wukong, and it's actually a really good question people have been asking me. People have been asking me, hey, I have my Sun Wukong at A2, should I pull? Duh. I have my Sun Wukong at A4, should I pull? Duh. I don't have Sun Wukong, should I pull? Duh. But the gray area, right, is like you have an A3 Sun Wukong, you have an A0 Sun Wukong, you have an A1 Sun Wukong. So in all those situations, the awakenings you would be getting with the guaranteed copy, and that's all you can count on, would be his A1, which is a total fart. I actually think this thing might be bugged. His A2, which is like cool, but barely increases his damage. And then his A4, which is like the same story. There are certain pieces of content, especially like Apocalypse, Semra, where the A2 and the A4 you'll see a difference. But in general, they're super not worthy of that extra copy, getting that next awakening. So they entirely function as stepping stones, because the crazy awakenings for him are the A3 and the A5. If you are in that position, I think it is an interesting quandary you might have, because I don't know how many diamonds and rare summons you have saved, so it's kind of tough to go 200 very likely to get the 1 copy, maybe miss out on Ryzen, or maybe miss out on new stuff that could be coming for Halloween. And to that I say, it's all about how you approach the game, how active a player you are, what your goals are in the game, and I guess how deep into the game you are. So let's go through all of that. How do you approach the game? When I say that, I mean, are you thinking very long term? Are you just thinking, how high can I get this Abyss score right now? How high can I get my Nightmare 4? Oh, I'm curious about Matrix, blah, blah, blah. Are those your priorities very short term? Or are you a crazy person like me and you're always thinking a year plus in the future and not wanting to misuse any resources because we know how RNG based this all is? Or very likely, are you somewhere in between? But better than I do or anyone does that isn't you. You know what your priorities are and how far ahead you're looking. You know how long you plan to play the game. There's almost no way I'm not playing this game in a year unless some crazy stuff happens. But for a lot of people, if you find a new game, you might just move to the new game. So you don't have to think as long-term as players like me would, or certainly content creators like me. So that's an important thing to consider. If you are thinking for the long term, there's no reason not to pick up the guaranteed Sun Wukong, even if that only nets you A1, A2, A4, because he'll come back, or they'll give us a good lucky gift of an unpolished soulstone, or you'll have a good string of RNG. There's going to be some mechanism that you're going to get to the key awakening. So there's no reason not to pick him up now, because you'll be saving an unpolished soulstone for the future. The only argument against that is, what if they power creep him? We're coming up on a year since his release. It's been like 10 months exactly. They have not yet power crept him. There are other good units now, but I don't see him going anywhere for at least a year. And even then, I think he'll still have really good niche use, at least in single target arena. Then when it comes to how active a player you are, I'm talking about, are you on top of your stuff every day? Are you farming your guild bosses every day? Are you participating in the events? Those things are all important because that dictates how many diamonds you're getting as drops or event rewards, oracle trials rewards, stuff like that. And on the same token, rare summoning crystals, because those are the currencies that you need for this banner, right? It's this and this. If you're on top of your stuff, I mean, even if they run Kagiri on Halloween, you should be in pretty decent shape. If you're free to play, it might be a little sweaty, so be careful with that. But I mean, in 2 weeks, you should get it done. Also, there's almost no way they're gonna run a guarantee in 2 weeks, but you can really accumulate summons at a very fast clip, which transitions me into my next point, which was how deep into the game are you? I'm obviously a nearly maxed out player, a solidly endgame player. You can see here I have 340 rare summoning crystals. You can ignore my diamonds because a lot of those are content creator rewards I've been saving for a while. I'm very fortunate to have that. But these rare summoning crystals are just things I've earned by playing, right? Just by playing, and it's actually been 30 days since I've used any, and I was tapped out 30 days ago. So in 30 days, I'm saving over 80 rare summons a week. So even if you're not super endgame, if you're an active player, don't underestimate how much you can save, and that's not even counting diamonds, right? So those are the other things to consider. All in all, I think if you have the summons to do it, there's no reason not to do it. You know, even if you're head over heels infatuated with Ryzen, and I think a lot of people probably will be, and we'll talk about him right now, he's not guaranteed at all. The vast majority of players will have to pull 2 legendaries to guarantee the progressive hitting, and you're gonna get Ryzen or Yuri, and even then, on that second legendary pulled, it might not hit, and you'll have to go to a 3rd legendary. Almost no one will go past the 3rd legendary. It's like 4 in every 1,000 players have to go to a 4th legendary. And even then, once you hit the banner, the progressive rate up only hits once, and then you don't get it again, and it's basically a coin flip between getting Ryzen or getting Yuri. So I think when you've got an opportunity to get a guaranteed new copy or extra copy for an awakening of a very, 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 very important hero, and it actually is guaranteed, these are important things to hop on. If you have any specific things about Wukong that you want clarity on, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer your question individually. I'll try to go through those comments in the morning. With Ryzen and Yuri, let's start with Yuri. Yuri is an excellent hero in Launch of Realms. Yuri is not good enough at this point in the game to heavily ball out on this banner if you're a low spender, or certainly if you're a free to play. She is awesome, and it's a real luxury and it's a real service that Moonton paired Ryzen with her. So even if you don't get lucky and you don't hit Ryzen and that's who you wanted, you're getting an incredible unit who has very strong awakenings. But that being said, with the current state of the game, it's hard to justify pulling for units that aren't aggressively meta in important content. So where is Yuri meta? She is just slightly off meta in anti-air arena, right? So if we go quickly here to the top teams, you'll see in anti-air arena, the dominant team for sure is going to be like the Lady Alex Valara Ingrid team led by Praetus, the Supreme Arbiter's team. But we shouldn't have to scroll too far. There we go, a Yuri team right there. So there probably were some higher too. So when I say off meta, that doesn't mean she's not exceptionally mind-numbingly good at this. It just meta strictly describes the #1 most effective 5-sum for taking on this content, and she is not in it. This is the second best team. Like, this is the counter meta team. And most of us don't have a Praetus, Erlong Shen, Lady Alex, Valara, Diao-Chan craziness to throw, right? So for people that don't have like this absolute wackiness, so you don't have your Praetus with many awakenings or your Ingrid, you don't have your Lady Alex yet, maybe you do have Erlong Shen, so you can swap him in, but even still, you get where I'm going with it. For people like that, like, yeah, Yuri's an incredible pickup. And also, she's very, very good with A1, A2, and A3, particularly the A2 for helping you just edge out similar opponents in arena, and then the A3 definitely takes things to another level. So very, very good stuff, but she's still gonna be not the definitive meta, she's just very good. The other place is going to be Gear Aid 3, all the way up through stage 24, which is very important, but Yuri isn't actually needed. She's one of the best options in the game. Most people that have her will use her, but you can for sure do it without her. So she's not like definitive must-have meta for anything. So she's not the kind of unit you can seek out on the spanner. She's a unit you can be very happy when you pull, but you're not pulling on this banner for her. So why would you be pulling on this banner? It's strictly for Ryzen. Now, who is Ryzen for? He's good in a lot of content, a ton of single target content, burst content, boss content, but really he's for Guild Boss 1 because he's such a good shield breaker, because he's so bursty. He really excels in all of the normal Guild Boss 1 stages, and then certainly he's excellent in Abyss. And the coolest thing about Ryzen is, and I'll show this in a video that will come out tomorrow now because today we got delayed, he's so good at A0. He can swap in damage-wise for an A1 or A3 Moradin or an A3 or A5 Sun Wukong. It's going to be comparable, and he's going to really help a ton with the shields, which doesn't even go into the final damage. So his true power is a little bit hidden. So he's excellent for that. That being said, if you've solved that content and you're a free-to-play or you're very, very tight on stuff, he potentially is someone you can skip. Now, this is I told you almost no one should be skipping, but this is a very specific situation I want to shout out. And that is, if you're a low spender or free to play, or you're just not ready to spend money right now, even if you're not one of those things, but you're very strapped on summons, you haven't been stockpiling or whatever, if you're in that situation and you already have an A5 Wukong and an A5 Kagiri, it's going to be hard to find a lot of content for Ryzen. One place he'll shine over those two is the fact that he's a platformer and he has very strong burst DPS, comparable to an A3 Sun Wukong, even close to an A5 Sun Wukong, you know, very comparable to like an A1 Moradin, but he's doing all that from a platform. He's kind of one of one for that, especially in boss content. But in almost everything, that's not something you strictly need. So if you already have a Kagiri and a Sun Wukong at A5 you've heavily invested in, he's not a 100% must-have. If you have those two, but you don't have Moradin, or maybe you have Moradin, but you're having trouble making him work, and you don't have A1 Moradin, then you could justify going for him, because he's still going to really bring a ton of damage for you, and if you're trying to progress in Abyss, that's awesome. But otherwise, if you're in that situation, it is a very, very, very specific situation. You're very light on summons right now, which I don't think most people are. I think a lot of us have been saving for a few weeks, and you have the maxed out Kagiri and the maxed out Sun Wukong. I think you could justify skipping this. I think everyone else, you kind of have to try to pick them up. You don't have to go crazy, but at least go for one legendary if you can. I'd say most people, if you have the resources to do it, try to get the two, because then you're close to guaranteed you're going to hit one of these two. The chance that you're going to hit one of the two rate up legendaries with the progressive is 89.5% that you hit them within your first two legendaries pulled on the banner. That obviously could take like 360, 370, 380 summons, which is very steep. So be prepared to do that. Otherwise, you're gambling. Then again, the whole thing is a gamble. The final situation I want to address is for people that are in the situation I described, but also maybe are spenders or have saved a lot, or maybe both. Then I think he's still a good unit to pick up because he is so unique. He's only the third Nightmare Marksman in the entire game, joining Yuri and Hotsit. He's the only one of that bunch to have like really, really, really good single target burst DPS. We do get good burst out of Yuri, but it's more when she's able to jump around between mobs. It's kind of more of a spray burst functionally than it is a single target burst, even though it is single target. So he is a little bit one of one in the game right now for that. So you could see in future content, he could excel. But with the content we have right now, the only thing he's going to be strictly dominant for is Guild Boss 1, Nightmare 3, Nightmare 4, and then absolutely Guild Boss 1, Abyss. So I hope that makes you feel informed. But yeah, if you're that kind of person that's a spender, or you have a ton saved, or both, I think he's unique enough to try to pick up. At least, you know, if you're that kind of player, go on this banner and try to get a dupe Yuri or a base copy Yuri or Ryzen. Just see what RNG you get. If you're a crazy whale kraken, I would make it a point to get one copy of him, for sure. I really don't think you need to go so nuts for the extra copies. If you use them in other content, the penetration here is very nice. And then the A3 is a little boost, but it's actually not what I originally thought it was. So there you go. If you have any further questions, please let me know in the comment section below. I apologize for a little more infrequent uploads lately. Frankly, I'm just so pissed off about Matrix, and honestly pissed off about Malric. I don't know how it's still this 5 energy system, you know, or these freaking mythic level 5. Sorry, I'm gonna go on a very short monologue here for people who made it to the end of the video. It's hard for me to feel as motivated and invested in the game right now when I'm questioning the motivations of the developers and how invested they're feeling in the game. Because I feel like it wouldn't take much to elevate the new content they're trying to push out, and have it ready to go and ready to be enjoyed on release. You know, the new Malric instances would be really cool if they solved this energy issue and if they had tuned it a little bit better. And honestly, Matrix was a pretty fun idea. Not the coolest boss in the game, but I mean, it is overtuned to high heavens. I mean, what's the new top score? 109. It's still right there. So, I mean, it's not even freaking close, you know? To me, it's just hard to get excited. So I'm trying to stay on top of my content, but I can't be as excited about it as, let's say, I was during the anniversary, or, you know, you think back, anyone who's been following me for a while, if you think back to March and April of 2024 when they released the Gear Dungeon 1 and then the month after the Gear Dungeon 2, that was such good content, ready on release, so much fun, most fun I've ever had covering this game. The views weren't even that good back then. That was actually like a lull for the game. That's not it. My views are good right now. This isn't fun for me in the way it used to be. So sorry for the little monologue, a little transparency, but I figure if you made it to the end of the video, maybe you care. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Fastidious. Subscribe to the channel, share with your mother, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.